The Tribune's publisher was honored locally. Former Free National Movement Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner says she's still open to contesting the party's top post, and yet another delay in the Bahama court saga. Find out about those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and welcome to the Tribune's Top 5. Tribune publisher Eileen Karen walked away with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the first ever Bahamas Press Club Awards. Mrs. Karen, 85, publisher and editor of the Tribune, was presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Bahamas Press Club in recognition of her outstanding contribution to nation building and significant work in journalism and publishing. Mrs. Karen, who has been in her post since 1972 as publisher, was the most significant of 7 people recognized at the awards dinner at the British Colonial Hilton on Saturday night. Wendell Jones of Jones Communication Network, Anthony Ferguson, Guardian Talk Radio, Henry Saunders, More 94 FM, Stilbert Mills, Radio Abaco, and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, ZNS Radio and Television were all given Pioneer Awards for their work in the advancement of journalism. Kenneth N. Francis was also honored posthumously for his rise from being a press operator at the Nassau Guardian to becoming the publisher and general manager of one of the oldest newspapers in the region, established in 1844. Press Club President Anthony Newbold congratulated those being honored for the trails they blazed and joy and recognition they brought to the noble profession. He also urged journalists, media professionals, broadcasters, and photographers not to be mediocre or pedestrian, but to be judicious, fair, balanced, accurate, and on time. Long Island MP and former deputy leader of the Free National Movement broke her silence on Sunday to reveal that she's open to running again for leader of the party and Prime Minister of the Bahamas by extension if the opportunity presented itself. Mrs. Butler Turner acknowledged that while she is currently not contemplating running for party leader, she would certainly have it under consideration given the right circumstances. That, she said, depends on just how much people demonstrate their desire to have her as Prime Minister and how serious they are about it. It would also mean again challenging incumbent leader Dr. Hubert Minnis whenever the F&M holds its next convention, an attempt that was unsuccessful at the party's last convention. Mrs. Butler Turner's comments came in response to questions surrounding the formation of a community page on Facebook campaigning for her to be the nation's first female prime minister, entitled It's Time. The page, with portraits of Mrs. Butler Turner in the F&M's party colors emblazoned across the top, is dedicated to Mrs. Butler Turner becoming Prime Minister and the significance of a female leader. Although it is unclear when the page was formed, the description said it was started by Bahamians who are proud to have a female in charge of their party and country. It says it is not authorized by Mrs. Butler Turner, but her supporters, colleagues, and friends who feel it's time. A total of 1,780 people and/or entities of Facebook had liked the page up to Friday. Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis criticized the government healthcare consultant Sanagest, saying they should be dismissed. F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis on Thursday criticized recent comments by a representative of the government's main national health insurance advisor directed at the Bahamas' healthcare industry, charging that her dictatorial statements were grounds for the agency's immediate dismissal. Dr. Minnis said statements made by Bahamian Etoile Pinder, executive for Sanagest International, the government's Costa Rican consultants on NHI, suggested that Sanagest was imposing an our way or no way approach to the debate between it and NHI's various stakeholders, the Bahamian populace included, on how NHI should be constructed. Dr. Minnis said at no point should any member of NHI's advisory board insult my professionals nor insult my population. Dr. Minnis also called on the government to tell the truth and come clean on the details surrounding its proposed NHI scheme. He also accused the government of being disingenuous and playing politics with NHI and said come January 1, the government will likely find another excuse to delay NHI, whether they use hurricane or some other issue. An underage boy previously enrolled in an alternative education program for disruptive and challenged students appeared before a magistrate on Monday accused of having a role in 3 recent murders, including that of an elementary school teacher and an autistic man. The minor, 17, who cannot be named for legal reasons, stood before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, charged with the November 11th attempted armed robbery and murder of Joelle McIntosh. The accused teen's mother could not stand for him because she was arraigned on charges of child neglect concerning her custody of him. It is alleged that he, along with 21-year-old Armando Sargent of Kemp Road and 25-year-old Johnny Mackey of Barnaby Alley, attempted to rob the Queens College teacher at gunpoint of her 2009 silver Toyota Corolla worth $6,000. It is also alleged that during the failed carjacking, the victim was shot multiple times in her head and body. She later crashed into a wall at the intersection of Parkgate and Village Roads. During the arraignment, Mackey mumbled a request to the chief magistrate, who asked him to speak louder. He then asked not to go to prison. He said, "It's gang-related. I can't go anywhere in jail. I'll get killed there." The magistrate replied, quote, "You are charged with a very serious offense. In fact, the most serious on the books. I will bring this to the attention of the superintendent of prisons, but placement of inmates is at his pleasure," end quote. Following a court hearing this week, the government's winding up petition was pushed back to 2016. New developments concerning the stalled Bahama resort prompted stakeholders to ask a Supreme Court judge for an adjournment of a winding up petition until February 2016. In what was to be a hearing into the government's winding up petition against the incomplete Cable Beach Resort, Crown lawyer Lauren Klein asked Justice Ian Winder to adjourn the proceedings until the end of January due to new developments since the stalled property went into receivership. Prospective creditors and stakeholders in the project, the Export-Import Bank of China, China Construction America Bahamas, and various government agencies part of the proceedings had no objection to the adjournment, which was granted until February 1, 2016. The Exim Bank is the resort's lender. However, in response to the latest adjournment of the proceedings, Bahamar's developer, BMD Holdings, issued a statement declaring that Bahamar was never meant to be about political and legal machinations, nor about putting one's party's self-interest ahead of what is best for the project and the Bahamas. The developer remains firm in the belief that it is the best interest of Bahamians for Bahamar to be completed properly and opened as soon as possible, the statement continued. The developer has never viewed a winding up or liquidation of Bahamar as an attractive outcome for the Bahamas. The developer remains committed to seeking a consensual resolution of the issues that have been resulted in Bahamar not being able to open, so many jobs being lost, and so many people and businesses suffering economic consequences, the statement added. The opening of the 2,000-plus room resort was scheduled for last December, but was delayed to March of this year and again to May. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com, like us on Facebook at the Tribune News Network, send us a tweet at Tribune242, or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.